Here in this video you will learn how to compare and check if the two JSON files are identical, and if they are different, what is the actual difference between them. Before jumping to the main part, let me give you a brief intro on what a JSON file is. If you already know what it is and how the data is stored in the JSON file, then you can skip to the main part, or you can keep watching it to just revise it. JSON files are nothing but a text file containing a data in a specific format. If you have worked with a Python dictionary, you will find the data stored in the JSON file quite familiar. In the JSON, the data is stored in the key value pair, where each key is a string and each value can be a string, number, boolean, null, array, or it can be another JSON object. Here is a simple example of how the JSON data is stored in the JSON format. Here you will see that the JSON contains the information about the person named John. It also include the information about his age, city, what pet he has, and what type of pet that is, and so on. As you can see, JSON helps store data in well formatted structured way that is very easily understandable by human, and it can be easily processed by the computer. Now that you have got brief introduction on JSON file, now let's see how can we compare two JSON and derive the necessary conclusion. Let's say we want to compare a two JSON file, file1.json and file2.json, and the file 1 contains the following data and another file by name file2 contain the following data. First we will write a simple code that will simply check and tell if the given JSON file are identical or not. Here we have first imported a JSON library which will make it easier to work with a JSON file in Python. Once we have imported the library, next we will open both the JSON file. For that we will use a with statement, and inside that we will make use of a json.load function just to read the content of both the files. So what this json.load function does is that it converts the JSON data into Python dictionary, and once we have the data stored in the Python dictionary, it is very easy to compare and derive the necessary conclusion. And that is why we are using the equal to operator to check if the two dictionary are identical or not, and we are using a print statement to print the required result based on the comparison that we are doing. Using deep library is the another approach to get more or complex information while comparing a two JSON. Here you have to first import a deep library onto your code. After that, read both the content of the JSON file and store the content in the Python variable. Once you do that, simply pass the variable that you have created to the deep function, and the function will return a difference between them. And finally use a print function to print the difference between them. There is a library named JSONDiff which does the exact same thing of determining whether the two JSON are identical or not. And not only that, it tells you where the actual difference is. And one more thing, this is an external library, so you need to first install it onto your system. Simply run pip3 install JSONDiff onto your terminal. Now let's see how can we use this library. Here is how you can use this library and get the difference between two JSON. If you understood the previous code, then this code will not bother you much. Here we are using a diff function from the JSONDiff library. Instead of directly comparing using the equal to operator, the diff function will return an actual difference between the two files. If the diff return nothing, then we can say that the two JSON are identical, and if diff function does return something, then we can say that there is a difference. That's why along with the message we are also printing the actual difference between the two. Finally, if you want to dig deeper and want more information on the difference between two JSON files, then you can try difflib library. Here is the final code how you can use this library to get a difference between two JSON files. Here we have used unified diff function from the difflib library to compare. This function return a generator that yield the difference between the two lists, and we have used a looping statement to iterate over the difference. That's it for this video. I hope you learned something new in this video.